Hi, everyone, and welcome to the December RELO Andes webinar. I'm Rachel Martin, and I'm an English language specialist. This month, I am joined by my special guest, my friend, my colleague, Ellen Berry.
I'm so happy to be here, Rachel.
Ellen and I used to work together. We were both living in Lima at the same time, so this is a little bit of a reunion for us. We get to present together again here.
Exactly. The reunion tour.
You're supposed to be with your loved ones for the holidays. So even if it's just here on Facebook Live or on YouTube Live, we are so glad you are here with us. I'm watching the comments come in. I see people coming in from Peru, from Bangladesh, from Uzbekistan, from Bolivia.
I can give a shout out to Fernando. Hey, how are you?
Hey, yes, I am recognizing some of these names here. We have Vanya coming back. It is so good to have you here. So please keep introducing yourself. Let us know where you're viewing from, and we'll keep chatting with you. I think I'm going to bring up my slides now. And today we are going to be talking about things that you can do during the summer break. If you are in the Southern Hemisphere, if you have the summer break coming up, maybe you finished your semester, your year. I had fun putting this together, Ellen, because I don't know about you, but I have snow outside.
Oh, talk about snow. I just finished shoveling. We have 2 feet of new, fresh snow outside. I'm in Massachusetts on the East Coast of the United States, and it's looking a lot like winter here.
Yes, you had such a big storm come in last night. I'm in Montana, which is up in the Rocky Mountains. So I have some snow, but not as much as you do, I don't think.
Well, I have to say I really like this photo because it does remind me that summer is coming.
All right. Well, while summer is here, I think we've got a question for our viewers.
Yes. So, and this is for so everybody who's watching us on Facebook Live or on YouTube Live, please respond in the chat box. So this is our first questionnaire. So this summer, what type of training are you looking for? Are you looking to practice or improve your English? Do you want to learn about training for online or hybrid teaching? Are you interested in learning English for a specific purpose? Or are you thinking, no, nothing for me. I am taking this time to rest. So you can just type your answer into the chat box. You can just put in the A, B, C, or D. That's quicker. And we're going to be talking about the responses in a bit.
I know some years I think we're getting a little bit of feedback there, Ellen, but some years I have definitely been in that category D where I just need to rest, or at least rest for the first couple weeks of the summer. But today, here in the next 35 minutes, stick with us, and we're going to talk about some different approaches to summer goal setting. Ellen is going to share with you one model of how to run a conversation club. I've seen her present this before, and I know you are in for a treat. And then we want to conclude by sharing some different opportunities, some training that's online that you can access if it fits what you're looking for. I'm looking at the chat here. Ellen, we've got a real mix of answers coming in. Some people are saying A, B, C, D. I see a lot of interest in hybrid and online. I think, obviously those are the skills we're working on right now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Lots of them there.
Yep.
All right. Well,
I see some A's
and in.
Okay, great. So there are several ways for creating goals. And Rachel's going to talk a little bit more about 3 ways you can go about setting up goals. And one way is a SMART goal. And then there's another type that's called Don't Break the Chain. And then there's something called a sampler platter. So Rachel, I think you're going to tell us a little bit more about those different types of approaches.
Yeah, because depending on what you're looking to do, you might approach your summer and your goal setting a little bit differently. So let's start with SMART goals. And SMART is an acronym. So each one of those letters represents a word, represents a concept. And I think SMART goals are a pretty popular concept. We use them not just in education, but I know they use them in business and in personal development. So a SMART goal is something that is specific, it is measurable, it is achievable, realistic, and timely. So let's put that into practice. Let's see if we can see what that actually might mean for a teacher this summer. So Ellen, if I've given you 3 goals here, we have 3 goals. Which one of these is a SMART goal? Is it to improve your English? Is it if someone says, I want to read 10 articles in English by February 28th? Or would it be if someone says their goal is to make sure that all of your students can speak at a B2 level next year? Okay, and well, if you're watching us on Facebook or YouTube, you can put your answers in the chat as well. Which one of these is a SMART goal? Do you think it's 1, 2, or 3? Which one? And what were you going to say there, Ellen? I'm so sorry. I cut you off.
So no, I'm looking at these and I'm looking at the first one. So I'm thinking about this one, improve my English. I mean, it's a great goal, okay? But I'm wondering, I don't think that it's actually measurable because you're not really setting, like, am I going to go from this level to that level? Or what are you going to do to improve your English? And it's not really time bound either. So we don't know what's the time frame. Are you going to improve this over 2 years? Are you looking to improve your English over a couple of months? So I don't think that qualifies as a SMART goal, even though it's a great goal. And then looking at number 3, make sure that all of my students next year can speak at a B2 level. Another fantastic goal. But I think I have to think about, is it achievable? So an achievable goal means like it has to be within your power. So it may not, there may be things that happen that, kind of take this out of your ability to achieve. So I don't think, even though, again, while it's a great goal, not necessarily a SMART goal. And now I'm looking at number 2. So read 10 articles in English by February 28th. So it definitely is measurable because there's 10, and it's time bound. It's going to happen by the 28th. It's definitely specific. They're going to read the 10 articles. Is it achievable? It's certainly like within your power to do that, and I think it's realistic. So I would say number 2 would be the SMART goal. Did I get it right?
Well, I saw several people in the chat who were agreeing with you, and I would agree as well.
Excellent.
All of these are great goals to work toward. There are things, we definitely want to improve our languages. We want to see the students improving, but it's that middle one, number 2, that really has the characteristics that we were looking for. So when I'm thinking about SMART goals, these are some of the questions I ask to see if it meets this acronym, if it really meets this criteria. Is it something specific? Is it a detail? Can we measure it? How will we know if I've met the goal? Progress is great, but when do we know when we've achieved it? Is it realistic? Is it achievable? Being honest, can I do this and can I do it right now? And then having the deadline, having a timeline on there. Not so that it stresses you out, but just so that you have a goal in mind and you know you're working toward that moment, you can always revise, you can always add more later. But these are what we're looking for here, for it to be specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely.
Oh, so Rachel, I think those other examples were just a little bit too easy. So I want to ask you about these goals and which ones do you think are smart? So the first one, practice speaking English in a group setting at least 6 times before I resume teaching in March. Okay, the second one, find new strategies to help my student in the hybrid class next year and develop Quizlet sets that match my units. And the third one, earn a certificate for 10 hours of training on a topic related to teaching. So which one of these 3 would you say is a SMART goal? And people, I think they can also type their answers into the chat box and you can respond along with us.
Exactly. I'm reading these comments here in the chat, and there was a great one I just saw on YouTube that said that SMART goals, it's like a checklist to create effective goals. And I agree with that. So I'm kind of looking at my checklist here. I think the first and the third one are pretty good SMART goals. I can see specifically what they're focusing on. In the first one, it's speaking. In the third one, it's, earning the certificate with a certain number of hours. There's a timeline, there's a deadline on there before they resume teaching. Oh, actually, wait a minute. That third one doesn't have a timeline on it. Oh, no. It was so close to being a SMART goal, wasn't it? It would need to say, in the month of February or in the month of March.
Yeah.
And I think both the first one and the third one, if only it would have had the deadline on there, they're pretty realistic. The middle one, it's a great goal. I think a lot of teachers are looking to find new strategies for next year. Making the Quizlet set would be a very specific action item. But it's not really telling me, I wouldn't know when I've achieved this. I don't know when I've done enough to meet the goal. So it's the right direction, but I'd probably write it to be more specific and more measurable. It's really missing the measurable for me.
Right. So I think maybe a specific number of strategies. Maybe they want to learn 2 new strategies, and then how many Quizlet sets also. But it's, again, a great goal.
Need to just make it measurable so we can make sure it gets accomplished. When something's measurable, you feel good when you kind of check it off your list. But not every goal is like this, where you have a really solid endpoint in mind. Maybe your goal is just to, build your knowledge, get better at something. So I want to share another approach to goals besides SMART goals. There's an approach called Don't Break the Chain. And Don't Break the Chain, it really focuses on making small daily progress. So if you're practicing a Don't Break the Chain goal, you have to start by thinking, how much time can I work on this every single day? And it's better to do 10 minutes of practice or 10 minutes of reading every day for the entire summer than to be so excited that first week you do an hour and a half every day and then you run out of steam by week 2. I don't know. Ellen, I've done that so many times where I get super excited, but I can't keep it going. So if you're practicing Don't Break the Chain, the idea is you keep a really simple log and you never skip a day. So a small amount, I've got a calendar here. Maybe you just make an X every single day. So here we are on the 17th and we are wanting to not break the chain. So hopefully you can do your 10 minutes, your 15 minutes, whatever that small amount is, and just keep marking it off. Don't break the chain. Don't break the, yes, I've achieved this momentum. This strategy,
I'm sorry, great. I think you made a great point about doing a little bit every day. I know I've been trying to exercise, and I think like if I say, I'm going to try to do like an hour or 2 hours, but it's easy to maybe work in like maybe 15 minutes a day. Yeah.
And it's that consistency, whether it's in exercise, whether it's in getting better at listening or speaking a language, in so many things, it's just that you can chip away at it.
Exactly.
I love this comment here about how it's important to monitor and check if our goals need to be changed or adjusted. Oh, yes, definitely. Yeah. And we're going to talk about that more in the third strategy here in just a moment. But these don't break the chains, the slow and steady progress, that can be great if you're trying to make it through a book. I have friends who have written stories or even written like their own novel this way. They just need to make progress. Maybe you have a conversation partner who you're practicing English with, or you're watching YouTube videos. You're watching maybe old conference videos just to build your base of knowledge a little bit every day.
Right. And it is also a lot more fun to sometimes do these with somebody else. So if you're trying to set up a goal, if you find a partner, because you can kind of motivate each other. Hey, did you do it today? Yeah. So.
Exactly. Make it social, even if it's social by WhatsApp. We've all become pretty good at social by WhatsApp, I think. All right. So our last goal setting kind of strategy that we're going to talk about, we are calling it the sampler platter. So a sampler platter, it's like when you go to a restaurant and you want to try everything. Sometimes they have it prepared so you can try little bits of all of their, best food. So in this case, maybe you are looking to combine different professional goals and personal goals. You really have to start by thinking, how much time do you have to work on any of these? And what do you enjoy doing? I mean, this is summer break. We want to develop as teachers, but we also want to refresh and enjoy our time. Yeah. So here's just kind of a sample list. Your list, anyone's list would look really different. Maybe you want to take a course for some training. Maybe you're going to read a novel in Spanish for fun. Maybe you are going to exercise 2 days a week. Maybe drawing. My mom is a great artist, but she does it by just, trying to do a sketch a day or a little bit of drawing a day. Maybe you're trying to get back in touch with someone or keep up your correspondence with a friend. So if you have your list, whatever it would be, it would look different for every person. Then you decide how much time can you put into each of these each week. So maybe you've looked at it, this MOOC course, it takes about 8 hours of time a week. So 8 hours feels like a lot unless I break it down into 4 sessions. How much do I want to read? How much do I want to draw? Again, you just set it up for yourself. And then you turn it into a checklist. And I know that looks like a long checklist, but once you start marking things off, it goes pretty fast. It feels pretty good.
I think one of the upsides to this is that, we think when we start on our summer vacation, we have all this time, but it can go by so quickly. And then at the end, it's like, you meant to do this and you meant to do that, but you didn't do it. So, it's kind of structuring it in this way, you might actually be able to achieve one or two of those goals.
Exactly. And just like that comment a few minutes ago was saying, you have to reevaluate and readjust. You don't make this giant checklist and then feel like you have to do it for the next 3 months. Do it for a couple weeks and then see if it's working. Maybe you want to spend more time on drawing and less on the novel. Maybe you're really excited about something you're writing. You can always readjust and recommit. And just like you'd said before, it often, helps to find a community to help you reach your goals.
Yes, definitely.
So that's really what we want to talk about next, since most people watching are English teachers. And I know practicing English can be a challenge this year, especially when you haven't had the opportunity to maybe go in person to a conference and interact. But thinking in the past, have you ever been part of an English conversation group? Whether it was at school, in the community, a group of people who got together and just practiced English on a regular basis with a schedule, with a plan. Have you ever led one? We would love to hear about your experiences in the chat here, as Ellen is going to share with us about a way to do this online and a way that I think is pretty well suited for our current environment.
Yes, great. Well, I'm looking forward to see how many people have already participated in conversation clubs. I was a fellow in Lima, Peru, and I had the great fortune of running several conversation clubs. So I just wanted to take this opportunity to kind of share what I have learned and to maybe give you some tips on structuring your club, because it's one thing to get together and with the idea of talking, but I think maybe if you want to do it with the objective of improving and really creating some time for practice, I'm going to give you a couple of tips for doing that. So let's see. So again, well, one of the upsides to the whole pandemic is that we have all figured out new ways to do things. And we can communicate with people now. I mean, we could do it before, but maybe we didn't think about doing things where we could communicate with people from all over the world. And one of the big upsides for a virtual conversation club is that it helps the teachers. I often hear from teachers who say, I'm the only one in my school who speaks English. I don't have anyone to practice with. So now you can connect with anybody, anywhere. So yeah, I think that's, again, there are a few upsides to this whole pandemic. So just a few logistics about this. So you want to limit your club to at least 3 people and not more than 8 people. If you're doing this virtually, you need to have enough time so that people can talk. And I'm sure you've been in those Zoom meetings where people are talking over each other. So you don't want that to happen. So I say not more than 8, but you need at least 3 so you can have kind of a flow of conversation. It's okay if you are not all at the same level. You can have a range of levels. And I actually think it's good to have a range of levels in clubs because you have some who are more of the language models for others. You don't, let me emphasize this piece, you don't need to have a native speaker in your club. But one of the things that is going to guide your club would be a text or a short video. And that is going to be the focus for the conversation. All right. So those are a few things that you need to do before you get started. So one of my biggest tip, I guess, or the thing I want to emphasize most is to make it thematic. So the reason you want to make it thematic is because this provides an opportunity for you to build and to reuse language over and over again. And the other reason for making it thematic is that it allows participants to make connections to the content. So if you've talked about one thing in your last session and maybe you can make other connections to it, this lends for a richer conversation. And you start to make connections not only to the material, but also to yourself. So I want to say that, and it doesn't necessarily have to be thematic for, let's say you want to do this once a week for 8 weeks. You can change it up, but maybe you want to have it at least for like 3 or 4 weeks to have kind of a consistent theme.
That was my question there. When you say thematic, did you just mean within one day? But it sounds like you're talking about keeping the same theme almost for a little mini unit sort of thing.
Right. Because that gives you the opportunity to build and you can reuse that vocabulary and you're going to make connections to like, oh, maybe a prior article or a prior video that you saw. Because one of the downsides of some conversation clubs is that when you start speaking only from personal experience, some people can't connect to that. So you want to keep the topic, you want it to be something that everybody has in common.
So what are some examples of topics or themes that you've used before?
Yeah, these are some themes that I have used. So one was Africa in the world. One was sports in society. Let's see, we had technology and we had survival of the fittest, food and culture. And I haven't used this, but I have created units with this. And I would encourage this for the Peruvian teachers who are tuning in to think about using the experiencias de aprendizajes that are in the Minedu units, such as endangered species and habitats. There was one about violence in women. So these could be good themes, and they would also connect to the material that you're teaching.
So just to clarify, for those who aren't in Peru, what you're talking about are themes or units that the teachers would then teach their students.
Yes, that the Aprendo en Casa, the units that are already out there are based on these themes.
So really, if there were teachers using any sort of a curriculum or book, they could look at what the topics are in there and maybe build a conversation group around those topics.
That's a great idea. Yes. So yes, I think that's a great idea, because it's kind of like there's a lot that you can use as far as like the speaking portion, but it also is going to help you in the day-to-day teaching.
Great. Okay, so I've got it.
All right.
One, themes.
Themes. Okay. So now that you've got your theme, is you want to have roles in the group. So you want to be able to kind of share some of the burden. And one of the things is you need to have a leader, or you can have like two leaders. And the leader's role is to preview, find the prompt of the video, and to preview it beforehand, and select the key vocabulary or key terms that they want to present to the group before they view it or read it. Okay, so and again, you could do that in pairs, and that role can rotate, so you don't need to have the same person doing it all the time. The other role is the scribe, and you can have one or two people doing that. And that person is going to take notes. They're going to be listening for new terms that come up, any difficult words, any grammatical points that arise, and then they can kind of summarize that at the end of your club. The third role is that of the listener, or sometimes we call them like the language monitor, and that person is actually listening, okay? And that can rotate within your session. So you can rotate it, the scribes and the listeners. So that person is listening, and they are taking notes for feedback. And the feedback is the next thing I want to talk about, the language feedback.
So now I see why you said we need at least 3 people, because you're giving each one of them a role.
Yes.
Does the listener talk while they have that role?
The listener isn't talking. So again, so that's why you want to rotate it, because everybody does want to get a chance to speak. The listener is listening. So you're building your listening skills, and you're actually, you're going to be giving feedback. And you can do this in a couple of ways. But the language feedback is like what I call, this is where like the magic happens. This is where you actually get to improve. So the person who is listening one thing I do when I'm going to give, one way I do it is that I would just transcribe exactly what I'm hearing. I type it down. And then after, not everything, but maybe just chunks of that language that I hear spoken. And then after the conversation, we put it up on the screen and we talk about it. And we talk about errors. And also, maybe if we had a particular grammar focus, we would talk about that. So I would suggest, because it's kind of, it might be something new for people, the easiest thing is to just try to listen to get chunks of language down and talk about it. You could, I had this idea, and I thought, well, if you're doing this through Zoom, you could probably actually record it, because you can record the session, and then you could go back and you could all listen to that particular recording and make corrections that way. It would make it for a really lengthy session, though, if you went back. Yeah.
So really, this is where you're replacing the native speaker. You don't need a native speaker, because someone within the group is giving the feedback and people are making progress, if I'm understanding this.
Right. So you're going to put that feedback up, and you're talking about it as a group. So this is what I heard. And as a group, you're talking, you can see the errors and make the correction in the errors. And this is where you improve. And because otherwise, I think there's a tendency to continue to make the same errors. And if nobody corrects them, you don't know. I've been saying phrases wrong in Spanish for years. And until I didn't know until somebody corrected me, said, no, it's not that, it's this. And I was like, why didn't somebody tell me? So anyway, so I think that the language feedback, and it takes practice. When I do this with students, the whole thing is, first of all, building like a community where people are open to hearing the feedback. This is not, aimed at making anybody feel bad. But once you kind of set that, you kind of have a positive atmosphere, people want the feedback. And as a teacher, I've done it in other ways where I just will write it on sticky notes and give it to students. But in a conversation club, I see this is something where the person who is a listener is just going to transcribe and then present it.
Great.
All righty. So I just want to sum up with my 3 tips. Okay, number 1, you want to have it thematic. Why? Because you want to build and reuse that vocabulary, and you want to be able to make connections and have a good, rich conversation. Okay, number 2, you need to have roles. Okay, so you don't want to put the burden on anyone, and you want to switch it around, because it's sometimes nice to be the scribe. It's nice to be the listener. You want to be the one who chooses the video. So you want to switch it around, but you do want to have roles. You want everyone participating. And number 3 is that language feedback, so you can improve. All right. So as I was kind of putting this presentation together, I started thinking about all the other things that you could do to create opportunities for speaking and improving your English. So one of them, I thought you could have a movie club. So maybe separately, everybody watches a movie, they come together and they discuss it. Maybe you can exchange questions beforehand, so you kind of have something that you're going to speak from. You could have an online cooking club. You could have, I would like that, where somebody has the recipe, you talk about the recipe and you do it and you're making it together. You could have a lunch club or a dinner club, or you could also have a book club. So, and I'm sure like people out there are going to come up with all sorts of other ways to figure out how we can connect and improve English.
And all of them are so social, which, language is meant to be used in conversation, in interactions. So whether we're doing your really structured conversation club, which when you explain those roles, I can see how people would make progress. They would break some of those fossilized errors. They would really improve. Or if you're just having fun, eating lunch with people and talking, catching up in English, all of this is a great opportunity there.
Right. And, all right. And Rachel, you said a key word, fun. Okay. This should all be fun because, it's vacation time, folks, and it should be fun, but it's fun to learn, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. I think most of us who are language teachers, we're here because we do like the language.
That's true.
But before we sign off here, we have a few more minutes left. I want to make sure and share some other opportunities for teachers who might be looking for maybe something smaller, something more individualized than joining a group, putting the group together with other teachers they know. I want to make sure that everyone can mark on their calendar our next RELO Andes webinar. We do these every month, and I know that most of you are return viewers. But if any of you are here for the first time, please mark your calendar. It'll be January 28th. We are also going to do something special this summer. I'm going to be leading some 10-hour online classes that are just a professional development opportunity. Since we are not there in person to do our 10 hours, let's put it online. So these are going to be a mix of some live sessions and then asynchronous work through Google Classroom. So if you're interested in earning a 10-hour digital certificate, keep checking the RELO Andes Facebook page. We're going to be putting up more information on this starting next week. But since you're here today, or maybe you're watching this on the recording, you're getting a little preview of what we have up ahead. Okay. There are also opportunities. If you have been following us for a while, you know that RELO Andes helps sponsor an online English teacher conference. back in October. So the first weekend of October, we had Re-Evolution, and there were over 30 presentations, which we have put them all on YouTube now. So this might work well with a don't break the chain sort of goal, but you can go on there, you can find a topic, find something that you wanted to learn more about, and all of those are publicly available now on YouTube.
I just want to encourage anybody, if you have not checked these out, check them out. There's so much great information there.
And I've even been going back and watching them because I was helping out with it, but I didn't see all of the presentations. I could only see like one in each session, and there were 5 of them. So that can be fun to play with on your own time. Other opportunities through the American English organization. So RELO Andes is connected with this as a part of this American English Live Teacher Development Series. So that's another series of webinars focused on different topics for teachers. They start their new season on January 27th. So I guess you can catch them on Wednesday and then catch us on Thursday. They also have a YouTube channel that it's very well organized with different playlists. There's so many things you can learn there. They're sponsoring a couple of MOOCs. So those are massive open online courses where you can enroll and go through quite a bit of material on the topic of English for media literacy or English for business and entrepreneurship. And of course, the ultimate professional development on your own is to just go read about it. And the English Teaching Forum magazine is always available on americanenglish.state.gov. So these are links here, and I don't want you to worry that you weren't writing these down or you were trying really quick to take a screenshot. Check out the RELO Andes Facebook page on Monday. On Monday, we are going to share all these links in a PDF, and we even have some bonus links. We have resources from Ellen for conversation clubs. So we have a whole extra section in there. Check the Facebook page on Monday to download your copy.
Wow, that is a lot. There's a lot of training and opportunities available for people.
Why you got to get a little organized.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some things I'm going to check out. But listen, we would love to hear from you. So again, folks who are listening on YouTube Live and Facebook Live, if there was 1 or 2 things that caught your eye, could you respond in the chat box and let us know?
And while you are doing that, while we're seeing some of those answers come in, I do want to invite you to one other thing. Every month, we are holding a post-webinar discussion group. So one day after we do this RELO Andes webinar, we hold a group. That'll be tomorrow on December 18th. If you'd like to join me, it'll be at 2 p.m. Lima time. We have kind of a group of teachers that show up every month, but we'd love to add you to it. Check the RELO Andes Facebook page and make sure you sign up so that I can send you that link and we can chat more about this tomorrow.
Wow, fantastic. So listen, I think before we sign off, I think we both just want to give a heartfelt thank you to all of the teachers out there. This is the last one before the end of 2020. It's been a crazy year. And I just want to thank you all for your persistence, your dedication, your flexibility, and everything that you have done for your students. I can't say enough. You guys are the superheroes for sure. So thank you, thank you. Enjoy your vacation, and we'll see you next year.
All right. So we're going to take away the slides here, and I think we just wanted to tell everyone happy holidays.
Oh,
you're not going to leave me the only one with the hat.
Yeah. Oh, my tree.
So I'm looking on here. I'm seeing people ask for courses on methodology, for a conversation. Check back for more links, more opportunities. We are so glad you were here this week. And thank you to Ellen. It was so good to work with you again. Thank you for sharing your conversation group there. We will see all of you again back in January. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Happy New Year.